the Trump administration's recent decision to initiate widespread layoffs within the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, including personnel responsible for maintaining crucial air traffic control infrastructure, has ignited a firestorm of controversy. This drastic measure, implemented despite 4 fatal aviation accidents occurring since the inauguration, has drawn sharp criticism, with concerns escalating regarding the potential compromise of public safety. The drastic reduction in FAA staffing levels has been met with significant pushback from employee unions, who contend that the administration's actions are reckless and jeopardize the safety of air travel. David Sparrow, national president of the Professional Aviation Safety Specialists, PAS, a union representing many of the affected employees, expressed outrage on X, formerly Twitter, stating, "They are our family, friends, neighbors. Many are veterans. It is shameful to toss aside dedicated public servants." PAS's official website further emphasized the gravity of the situation, asserting that staffing decisions should be based on an individual agency's mission-critical needs. To do otherwise is dangerous when it comes to public safety. This statement underscores the union's deep concern that the cuts are not strategically planned, but rather a sweeping reduction impacting essential personnel. The potential for cascading failures in air traffic control, already a subject of ongoing concern due to outdated systems, is now heightened by the significant reduction in skilled personnel. Adding fuel to the fire, Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy, in a post on X, claimed to have consulted with a vaguely defined DOGE team, presumably referring to a Department of Government Efficiency, and implied they would contribute to upgrading the aviation system. This cryptic announcement only served to heighten anxieties, leaving many questioning the competence and transparency of the administration's approach to addressing the looming safety crisis. The lack of clarity surrounding the DOGE capabilities and its direct involvement in addressing FAA's critical staffing shortages further deepens the concerns. The vague reference to an upgrade, without outlining specific plans or timelines, does little to alleviate fears. The enigmatic DOGE team announcement was amplified by Elon Musk, who reposted Duffy's message on X, adding his own commentary that his department, presumably referring to SpaceX, though the connection is unclear, would aim to make rapid safety upgrades to the air traffic control system. This injection of seemingly unrelated corporate involvement has only intensified the skepticism surrounding the administration's response, leaving many questioning the lack of clear, coordinated, and transparent planning in addressing the staffing and safety concerns at the FAA. The interjection of a private corporation into a matter of such vital public safety raises significant questions about potential conflicts of interest and the overall strategy being employed. Meanwhile, reports surfaced of temporary employees within the National Nuclear Security Administration, NNSA, being dismissed before being subsequently reinstated. The Department of Energy later clarified that fewer than 50 employees, primarily those in administrative and clerical roles, were initially let go. This incident highlights the seemingly arbitrary and potentially haphazard nature of the administration's broader staffing cuts across various federal A. The arbitrary nature of these actions further fuels concerns about whether the cuts are genuinely based on a thorough assessment of needs or represent a politically driven cost-cutting measure that may endanger the public. Adding to the growing concerns, the Federal News Network reported obtaining a termination letter sent to an employee at the Department of Agriculture. This letter remarkably placed the burden of proof on the employee to justify their continued employment, effectively reversing the usual process where the employer must demonstrate cause for termination. This disturbing precedent raises significant questions about due process and fair treatment of federal employees, suggesting a troubling pattern of arbitrary dismissal practices being implemented across the government. The shift in the burden of proof, from the employer to the employee, signifies a significant erosion of employee rights and adds to the climate of uncertainty and fear among federal workers. This approach not only undermines morale, but also potentially discourages highly skilled and experienced individuals from pursuing careers within the federal government. The long-term consequences of such policies could be severely detrimental to the effectiveness and overall performance of government agencies. The confluence of these events, the mass firings at the FAA, the vague assurances from the Secretary of Transportation, the ambiguous involvement of private entities, the inconsistent treatment of employees across different agencies, and the troubling shift in the burden of proof in termination proceedings, presents a disturbing picture of mismanagement and disregard for public safety. The lack of transparency, the haphazard approach to staffing decisions, and the seemingly arbitrary nature of the cuts have raised profound concerns regarding the competence and long-term stability of the federal workforce and the critical services they provide to the nation. The potential for a catastrophic failure within the nation's air traffic control system, coupled with the apparent disregard for established employment practices and due process, calls for immediate and comprehensive investigation into these troubling developments. The administration's actions demand thorough scrutiny and accountability to ensure the safety and security of the American public.